Aaron, wake up, Aaron.
What? What day is this?
You're okay. You've been in a coma since the day before WrestleMania. You hit your head.
Oh, okay. How'd WrestleMania go?
Oh, it was great. It was great. A lot of great matches.
And did Ronda Rousey perform well? Did she do okay? She hold her own?
Yes. She won. It was a really good match. She beat Triple H up.
Oh, good. Shinsuke, the match of the decade, the millennium, the Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles. Was that everything everybody hoped for?
No, it actually kind of sucked, and he didn't win, and he's basically resigned to hitting people in the nuts now.
What?
Yeah, that's his thing. He just hits people in the nuts.
Oh, okay. Oh, did Lesnar finally lose the belt? Do we have to deal with Roman Reigns as champion now?
No, Lesnar's still champion. That has not changed one bit.
No! Welcome back to Top Rope Wrestling Podcast. It's been a while. We have been gone for a handful of months. Life got crazy, but wrestling still continued on. So we are back, and we've got lots to talk about. I am your co-host, Aaron Lopez, and again, as always, I am joined by Ben Norsworthy. Ben,
welcome back.
We're glad to be back. It's been a very hectic few months with we're both teachers and finishing up the school years, as well as the directing of the show that I did in May. And just everything. So thanks for sticking around here. Hopefully you guys have been watching, and we're finally back. So let's get to it. We got a lot of news. A lot of things have happened over the past couple days. Specifically, just a couple things in the past 24 hours. Realistically, probably the biggest is Big Cass.
Big Cass.
No pun intended.
Fired literally Tuesday before the SmackDown show. Was walked into Vince McMahon's office. They notify him that he would no longer be with the company, and he's gone.
See ya.
A little over 24 hours after having a match at Money in the Bank with Daniel Bryan, Big Cass has been let go. The way they even posted it on their Twitter, and on the WWE website, I don't think this was a very mutual parting of services, because usually the WWE will say we have parted terms with so-and-so and we wish them the best. This was just a flat-out statement of he is no longer with the company.
Yep. So
I don't know if that tells you anything or we're reading too much into it.
Yeah, from the Bleacher Report and Ringsider, those kind of outlets, what I'd seen is that, it was not mutual, that he had no knowledge of this going into traveling to what was last night's in Toledo. So it was definitely a shocker for him, kind of a shocker for everybody. I mean, Big Cass for me, especially after they broke up, him and Enzo, he never really got to where they wanted him to, but I thought there was a place on the mid-card for him, but he definitely wasn't becoming the star that they wanted him to be. But this is kind of a shocker. I did not think they'd let him go, but now you can have Enzo and Cass back together again at Impact Wrestling.
Yeah. I'm going to look forward to that reunion.
Well, you know what? I think the biggest downfall, too, is they clearly didn't have the most successful member of the team with them. Carmella. She's still there, and she's doing very well. Probably best for her that she was able to get away from that group.
I would say that if we had those two, Enzo had the mic skills, but I didn't think he was very talented in the ring. Mm-hmm. Big Cass was not that talented on the mic, but he was very talented in the ring. He's a big guy. He can move for a big guy. That's what Vince McMahon likes.
Yep.
So when they were together, they complemented and made up for each other's faults. Mm-hmm. When they split them up, Big Cass struggled a little bit. Then he got injured. He was off for over 6 months and almost missed WrestleMania. And then came back, gave him this push, and now he's gone.
Well, that was something, too. I had remember hearing, I think it was on Jericho podcast, when they were both on, and they talked about how they studied tag team wrestling, and they knew about the hot tag, and they really, Enzo would get really beat up. I mean, he'd get his ass kicked from post to post, and they'd hot tag in Cass, and it was the building of that. They seem to know tag team philosophy well. Yeah. When you split up a tag team, you're not just splitting up the characters and the group and things like that.
The
but
chemistry.
It's actually like, it's basically like saying you're going to make a wide receiver into a running back. It changes what they do. It's, you can't just jump into a singles match and expect it to run the same as a tag team. That's all they've done for years and years. That's where they were grown as in NXT and FCW and those kind of things. So it's tough on those guys for that to happen.
And then the company puts them in a different pond and says, okay, be this now. Mm-hmm. And it takes quite a bit of adjusting to. Yeah, there are some people that start out as tag teams and people in the industry see them, hey, this guy would make a great single star, like Shawn Michaels.
Yep.
But sometimes it takes a little bit more of an adjustment to be that singles, like you just said. I think you pointed out something that people don't really look at a lot. It's the chemistry.
Well, even a guy like Shawn Michaels, they didn't just set him free. He had Sherry with him for a while. And then he had Diesel. Like, he wasn't by himself off the bat.
And then he had DX.
Yeah, like, even big guys like that need help.
Yeah.
And you can tell that some of the most over stars, Cena might be one of the only examples where he was never really part of a group. No. He was never in a faction. He never had a manager. It was all just him. So then I think that's why, some people... I don't know if I'd be in that conversation, but some people would say he's one of the best guys, and Taker even. But Taker had the Ministry, he had Paul Bearer, like big name guys. Just they still need help.
Yeah,
they still need help. It's tough to throw somebody straight into it. But Cass is gone. He will probably end up showing up somewhere here in the Indies. Definitely not strong enough wrestler to go over to New Japan, so you'll see him
maybe show up at All In the fall.
Yeah. Maybe Ring of Honor, but even that, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Next thing is that, at least on my list, is that Sami Zayn is going to be taking some time away from WWE. He is injured. It's not supposed to be seen as a major injury. This actually may have something to do more specifically with the pacing of the Bobby Lashley match. We'd kind of talked about this before we started recording today, but he's taken some time off. I'm pretty sure the injury has not yet been specified, so it's kind of weird to see what. I hope it's not his neck, because that was the last injury that he had, so I'm hoping that doesn't come up again.
And if somebody deserves time off, it's him. He has been very constant in the WWE in the past year. He had a long run with Kevin Owens as tag team partners, and with Shane McMahon. They had a really good match at WrestleMania. So if anybody deserves time off right now, he's one of those people, because he's put in quite a run.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at Zayn. Zayn proved to me that he can be a heel. I don't like him as a heel. He's way too lovable. He's the underdog from the underground. You can't be an underdog and be a heel.
Yeah.
You just can't. Like, that's still even, like... He was able to show he can do it. And you put him with Kevin Owens, and those two are buddies, and they can pull off anything. But Sammy's not a heel. Sammy's Daniel Bryan. He can try to be a heel, and you put him around Kevin Owens enough, and it's going to rub off a bit. But I think hopefully he comes back, and there's some sort of a fight forever thing going on with him and Kevin Owens post SummerSlam. I wouldn't mind seeing them go back at it again.
Or giving him a title run. I mean,
perhaps maybe an Intercontinental
U.S. Championship.
I liked him more on Raw, I think, honestly, even though I think he's a SmackDown type of guy. He got lost. There's a lot of mid to upper tier guys in SmackDown.
Yeah.
And there's definitely more of a niche role for him on Raw than there is in SmackDown, I think.
If they do bring him back as a heel, or keep with the heel thing, and I know this has been used to a very fantastic point, but I could see him doing really well renewing that whole USA versus Canada thing.
It hasn't been done lately.
No.
And I think that
the Hart Foundation did it really well back in the mid-90s. But
especially right now with the climate that we've got. Yeah.
Especially right now with the climate between the U.S. government and the Canadian government. If they brought Sami Zayn back, and I'm not a booker, but I'm an idea guy, that would be hot stuff if he just kind of went on the same rant that Bret Hart did, where the Canadians are better, and look who you got in charge of the country, and blah, blah,
and you've
blah.
got enough of them on the roster. Yeah. I mean, him and Owens, but then give Natty something to do. Yeah. Natty's always been that buffer between heel and face. No one ever really knows if she's supposed to be liked or not. But I mean, just throw a bunch of Canadians together and let them have fun, because there's a lot of talented ones on the roster.
Yeah.
So, And again, get some factions together. I always love my factions, my stables. The next thing actually just broke today. Big Van Vader passed away from heart failure. He had pneumonia, and things kind of just got to be too much for him. So unfortunately, Vader has died. Kind of a tough thing. We were talking about he was very much utilized and over in WCW. Yeah. Big guy in WCW.
Yeah, great matches with Flair. Really great matches with Sting.
His Sting matches are some of my favorites.
And WCW. And then in the mid-90s, he comes to WWE, as they're making this transition from the Hogans and the Rudes and the Warriors to the Harts and the Ramones and the Diesels and Shawn Michaels. And they didn't really, in my opinion, they didn't really utilize him well. They were just like, he's a big guy, he's unstoppable, let's put him in this match and this match. He never got a championship run.
Nope.
He never headlined a WrestleMania. So, coming off of WCW, I feel like he should at least be given an opportunity, and to the point where he was just a mid-carder.
Oh, yeah. And he was often put in to put others over because he was the name. And I don't think he was necessarily ready for that. Not that I think there was a whole lot of pushback, but Vader was a big guy. He was agile. He was one of those. He basically paved the way for guys like Kevin Owens, who don't fit the prototype of a high flyer, but definitely able to move a lot more than you'd expect in the ring.
Yeah.
So he definitely was a trailblazer for big guys and some for those that are not just your great Khali's who are just a size who can barely even take a punch.
Yeah.
Vader sold well. Vader moved well. So he'll definitely be missed in the wrestling world.
Go on the network and watch some of the old WCW matches, like you mentioned, especially the ones with Sting. Those were really good matches.
Yeah.
And his entrance to the ring was, if you're a kid, you're like, who is this guy? Who is this monster? Just go back and watch some of his matches. It was, and he had been sick for a while. So,
yeah. If I'm not mistaken, it was a couple years ago. He'd had surgery, and they didn't think he was going to make it. So he's been battling for quite some time. So not necessarily a huge shock. Was not in greatest health, but still unfortunate to say the least.
Does he go in the Hall of Fame next year?
Oh, posthumous, yeah. I think definitely, unless they had somebody lined up and they'll give it a couple years, but he'll be in within the next couple of years.
Now, if they're kind of ushering, I've noticed in the past couple of years, especially since the network's been on, that they're kind of ushering in more and more WCW.
Oh yeah. There's more WCW guys that are making their way. I mean, the fact that Sting was inducted. Sting had, 3 matches in WWE? He was inducted as a WCW
wrestler.
Face.
Yeah.
Like, he was a WCW wrestler who signed with WWE. They're the same company now.
Yeah.
But, I think he gets in. Probably, I mean, there was no ill will. He had no heat or anything like that with Vince or anybody. So he'll be in. He'll be in eventually. Kind of just depends on what their plans were. Then the last thing, at least on my list, we'd mentioned it, was the purchase. SmackDown is moving away from USA and is going to be aired on Fridays again on Fox.
Yep. WWE and Fox have had agreed in principle to a deal that would give Fox the broadcasting rights to SmackDown Live. It is estimated to be $1 billion over 5 years. That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
That makes me kind of wonder what they could get for Raw. But right now, I kind of lean that SmackDown's the better product.
Well, and my 2 questions that come out of this are, the first thing they said is that in print, this is all theory, still nothing has been solidified, but they said that they're probably going to move back down to Fridays, but record on Tuesdays because it's tough to split it up. So it will, I don't know if it'll be live anymore. I liked the fact that it was live because then you don't have to worry about hearing about things and spoilers that always come out. I do think it's a lot of wrestling in a 4-day span sometimes with like a Saturday NXT. I mean, I know they want people to watch wrestling every night, but just, you can't do it.
Yeah.
So I think that if they move to Friday, at least it'll help a little bit. It will definitely impact, though, when we get to WrestleMania season. Because by Friday, they're way past that. You know? So I don't know what'll happen with those, but
But
I think it's going to be good.
That's big because so the details are is Fox is supposed to start airing SmackDown Live on October of 2019. This is a lot of people say this is great for WWE because it's given them a more mainstream access to other viewers. And right now, there's negotiations of Raw being kept on NBC Universal, which owns the child company of USA Networks. So right now, after you got the SmackDown thing done, now Vince McMahon's trying to negotiate to stay with NBC/Universal to keep Raw on USA Network. So I can only imagine, I assume, since Raw has been the flagship of that company, I'm assuming the numbers will probably be a little bit bigger than what Fox gave them.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's always, USA has always had Raw. Well, technically that company, not necessarily always USA, but what was it?
TNN.
TNN, but that's, I mean, essentially that's all the same, under the same umbrella. So, I think that eventually they'll figure something out. My biggest question is how do they utilize this as far as the storyline? I would be interested to see if they do make this more of a cross-brand rivalry because they're not even owned by the same. They're not even aired in the same company anymore.
So that tells you they are keeping the brand split.
Yeah,
they are keeping the brand split. You will probably see another draft here.
I think we need one.
Yeah,
I think we need a shakeup. They said didn't they say they were doing a superstar shakeup and they had like 5 people move? It wasn't even really.
It wasn't a shakeup.
It was basically Hardy moved and then moved right back, and then
mainly to keep guys happy with their contracts since they don't want to work certain days or not work certain days.
You had like 5 guys move. You had the Riot Squad moved, Mahal, Hardy.
Yeah.
I think that's it. No big name guys moved.
No.
Everybody's
big very
names.
Comfortable where they're at.
That was it. Like the only ones that I can remember. A couple tag teams moved. I think Breezango moved over to Raw, which they haven't done anything, which is unfortunate because they were so over with their files, their forensic files. So yeah, I don't know. I think we need a real draft again.
Everybody moves.
Everybody's eligible to draft. Yeah. And some may stay and some are going to move, but at least then you have it so that everybody's available. That was fun. That was cool to see that happen.
I was recently listening to an episode of Bruce Pritchard's podcast, Something to Wrestle With, and they were talking about how the draft works. And he talked about how the first draft they ever did, they didn't tell nobody.
Yeah.
So when the audience found out, wrestlers were finding out. And he was talking about how there were a lot of pissed off wrestlers that had gotten used to their schedule that were now having to move to SmackDown or vice versa.
Yep.
And he goes, we kind of learned our lesson the first time, but for that first draft, we wanted it to be authentic. We wanted the viewers find out, then the wrestlers found out. And so a lot of people, including, I think he mentioned The Undertaker, came up to him, was pissed off because he's now being shipped.
Yeah. Well, I remember another one that was with that had happened was the Dudley Boys. They got split and they didn't know they were getting split. And that ticked them off. I mean, they are very much so guys that are for the business, so they are willing to give it a shot and say, all right, we're going to try this. But, I mean, you're basically splitting up people who are brothers. I mean, not just in character, but they've spent their entire careers in the ring together, and now they're going to be on different companies.
And now, again, too, going back to what you said, since they've had the formula set up of now of Monday Raw, Tuesday SmackDown, the traveling has become a lot easier and more convenient. But again, if they're moving it to Fridays and they still want to try to keep the Tuesday tapings or...
Yeah. I mean, realistically, it's going to stay on Tuesday for tapings. I think we'll lose the live. And that's unfortunate because I liked the live element. But at the same time, there's just no way. Way too much going on. And
real quickly, what this deal tells me with Fox, and I was talking to you about it before we went live on this podcast, is that this is a way, I think, of Vince McMahon setting up Stephanie McMahon, Shane, and Triple H to really just take over everything and run the ship while he goes and deals with the XFL.
Because that's, 2 years away?
That is 2 years away. He just, a month ago, he hired a commissioner for the league. So I think he's really setting this up to say, here, I put you in a sweet spot. I put you in a great deal with Fox. Yeah. We're on NBC Universal on the other channel. You guys go ahead and do it. I'm going to give this XFL thing one more go if it kills me. And I think that's what's happening.
I hope so. And it's not that I don't appreciate what Vince has done, but I am just more so excited for what Triple H is going to do as a creative.
And we'll get into that when we're going to kind of talk about that too when we go into the pay-per-view, because I kind of, some of the matches I smelt Vince McMahon on.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, every single one. He had the final say on everything. So, but yeah. So, any other news for you?
Nope, that's it for me.
Well, let's go ahead and take a quick little break. We will be back with our rundown review of the Money in the Bank 2018 pay-per-view. But in the meantime, let's see what is coming up soon from Eventide.
Oprah's Book of the Month Club? Please. We've got something much better in store for you.
Let's talk about books. The energy is right. I got a candle going. It feels good.
Every Monday morning, Jessica Gillen sits down and talks with you about the very best in books and literature.
Murder on the Orient Express. The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. The Cruel Prince.
It's The Bookseller. Every Monday morning, brought to you by Eventide Entertainment. Nothing brings people together quite like the movies, and every week Aaron Lopez wants you to join him in a discussion about the latest and greatest in the world of film. So grab a drink, grab some popcorn, and get comfy. Come join Aaron and friends every Thursday at The Drive-In, presented by Eventide Entertainment.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are ready to start talking about Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank was a decent pay-per-view, I'd say. Overall, it was a good one for me, but it took a while for me to start enjoying it. Again, we had a pre-show match. The Bludgeon Brothers versus the Club for the tag team title belts. This one didn't even feel like it mattered.
No.
I mean, anything that goes on the pre-show is probably bumped down a bit.
Yeah.
You're not really going to see a title change if it's on the pre-show. You're not going to see any big swerves. You're just going to see basically a dark match, essentially.
Yeah. I was out to eat for Father's Day, and I was like, we're running behind on time, and then the pay-per-view starts at 7. So I checked on my phone, like, okay, what's the pre-show match? And it was that, and I was like, we're fine.
Yeah,
we're fine. We got time if I'm a little late.
Well, I mean, there's no way going into this match that anybody who has been paying attention thinks the Club is going to win it.
No.
There's no way. I do appreciate that they've stopped making them so gimmicky, like shtick of all this, like the nerds thing. They do a little bit here and there, but it's more so like they are slowly going back to their New Japan style, at least just being more brass.
They need to.
It's just. I don't know. We're never going to get the Club like we should get it with, Balor, Styles, and these two. But I think that, if we can maybe get them closer to something, I mean.
If Triple H has a chance to run things, I think you could.
Well, they did do the 25th anniversary Raw?
Yeah.
And they had the Club come out, and it was the Club and DX.
If anybody in that company understands fractions and how successful they can be, it's Triple H. I mean, look how long he rode DX.
Yeah. Well, and Evolution.
Yeah. I mean, and I think he knows the potential, because if you look in NXT, you have several fractions.
Yeah.
You have all kinds of different fractions that are working. Undisputed. So I think if Triple H has his way, I think you could possibly see if they sign Kenny Omega at some point in the next year or two.
I don't think they ever will. I don't think he ever wants to come over. But it's funny that
they just had a Kenny Omega thing on the network.
Yeah,
when he was very, very young.
But I don't think Omega wants to come. I think that eventually at some point we will do some cross brand. They've talked about, I think actually just this past week, I read something about how Triple H is very open to doing more cross-company stuff.
Yeah.
Bringing him, like, that's why when Jericho went and did his stuff, Jericho's now essentially New Japan. I mean, he is for the time being. He's doing a really, really good job with it. But that also is, Chris Jericho is a WWE wrestler. Like, you see him and you're like, oh, okay. Unlike Cody Rhodes, if you see Cody Rhodes, you're like, well, he was there for a while. Jericho had been there for years, decades. Yeah. So I think that opens the door to that happening. I don't know. I don't know if Omega will ever come over. I think that his time would have been about a year or two ago, shortly after Styles and Nakamura came over.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. Essentially, though, this match, the Bludgeon Brothers clubbed, it felt like a glorified squash match. The club put up a good fight, but in the end, you knew that the Bludgeon Brothers were going to come out on top, and it wasn't even that long of a match. My question is, who do you think Bludgeon Brothers are going to be facing next? Because last night's SmackDown showed them kind of feud a little bit with Daniel Bryan for some reason.
Supposedly, there's a match for next week's SmackDown with Daniel Bryan and a question mark partner. It was just reading online, so that could be a possible match. I feel like they need to set up the Bludgeon Brothers with either the Authors of Pain or bring up somebody from NXT, possibly Eric Young's group.
They debuted last night.
They
Sanity.
did? I missed last night's SmackDown.
Yeah, they debuted last night. So the problem is, though, is Sanity is very clearly a heel group.
Yeah.
They're over. The crowd loves them, but at the same time, they're a heel group. And Bludgeon Brothers, it would be a fun rivalry.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Sanity's the ones to take them down. They do have the size in Killian Dane and, what's the guy, Lars Sullivan. No, that's not right.
No, Lars Sullivan is the big guy.
Lars Sullivan's the other guy.
Looks like Nikolai
I can't think of his name. But they've got two big guys,
Yeah.
Eric Young and Nikki Cross did not come up with them, unfortunately. So they're the group of three. I don't know. I think that it could be the next one after, but it seems like they're going to have Daniel Bryan go into this tag team division for a little bit. Yeah. It's crowded at the top, so they don't want to force it.
But I could see the Bludgeon Brothers getting very stale very fast.
They could. They need something, and maybe Sanity's the way to go. Because you put those two together, those two groups, that'd be fun to see.
Yeah.
Just who can out crazy one another. Yeah, I think that could be. I want to see Sanity next. I just don't think it's the long-term rivalry.
No.
They've beaten the hell out of everybody else. Usos, New Day. I mean, I'm not even sure who else is in the tag team division, honestly, right now in SmackDown. It's been kind of stiff. I think that maybe Sanity might be the only option as far as something new. So, yeah, that was a pre-show match. It's simple enough. Kind of a there and went. The first match of the main card, though, Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass. In my opinion, I think this was better than their Backlash match.
Yeah.
But that doesn't say much, because their Backlash match was pretty stale. It was... A lot of people were wondering, why did you put these two together? They're not playing the David versus Goliath aspect much. I mean, they showed off more that Bryan has a lot of submission holds and Cass had an injury to his leg. So it's like, That's what they showed off more than anything.
What, like, to me, Big Cass in this match reminded me of, like, early Diesel in the 90s. It was very limited in a lot of things that he could. Yeah, he's a big guy. Yeah, he's got power. But to me, it goes like this. Big Cass dominates the match. He gets frustrated that he can't put Daniel Bryan away. And then Bryan slaps on a submission and he taps.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to do a summary of the match, I feel like that was it right there.
Yeah, I mean, it was like... Cass was in charge for the majority of the match. Daniel Bryan got in a handful of moves here and there. He got some offense in. But it wasn't until he got his legs wrapped around the ring post that he started working Cass's knees that it really shifted. And then you're like, okay, this is going to end in submission. Not that you weren't really worried about it because, Bryan's been doing a lot more of that lately. And that's fine. That's like half of his arsenal.
So we know what they're going to do with Big Cass. Let's give him his pink slip.
Yeah.
What do you do with Bryan? Like, I feel like they're missing out on a big opportunity if he doesn't have some type of title around his waist within the next year.
I think he will.
So much has went into him coming back to wrestling as a full-time position. Mm-hmm. You're missing out on something if you don't have him involved in some big type of stuff.
I think what happens is that pretty soon Styles loses the belt.
Yeah.
He's had it for a long time. They said it on Sunday that he's had the belt for almost like 230, 40 days. He's had it for a long time.
He will not go in. I agree. He will not go into the fall.
Yeah, I think he drops it. I don't know, but I think he drops it at SummerSlam. He's had it for a long time.
Yeah.
My thing is I think that Bryan goes into WrestleMania season as one of the fronts to headline next year. He might even win the Rumble.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Depending on where he's at by January, the pop, the crowd would be nuts.
I mean, he's somebody who, if you want to,
like a Rey Mysterio did.
Yeah, you want to work the WWE universe, their love and a passion for somebody. Give Bryan the Road to WrestleMania build-up that he deserved to have a few years ago, and really only had in New Orleans the first time.
Yeah. Because if they go with Roman Reigns winning the Rumble again, this podcast is going to turn into us sitting here reading recipes out of a cookbook. I can't take Roman Reigns.
I don't think they'll ever have him win it again. He doesn't need it anymore.
No,
you saw he wasn't even in the Money in the Bank match, and he's going to be facing Lesnar at SummerSlam. If, and we say that if, but that hasn't actually been confirmed that Lesnar's going to be at SummerSlam,
But if you look at past signs,
and he will finally beat him, and I think that what they'll do is, because they really want Reigns to be the face, is that's when, spoiler alert, Strowman will cash in. It's somewhere in SummerSlam.
Yeah, but Strowman's so hot right now with the crowd, so they're going to boo Reigns out the building.
No, I know. That's why
they're going to love that he's going to come out and cash in.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is that because then you have that same aspect of Daniel Bryan when he finally won the belt and it was taken within minutes from Orton. Mm-hmm. It's this idea that Reigns finally gets the belt back and then someone takes it from him. They're going to be happy that Strowman takes it, but then you're going to give Reigns more to fight for. Reigns does not do well when he's at the top, ruling over the land. He's on the chase. When he's chasing, that's when the company at least thinks that he's at his best. Mm-hmm. I think he needs to be at the top and be heel and just say, I'm better than all of you. Look at my legacy. Look at who I am. Look at what I've done. You hate me and I'm still winning. That's a better character for me. But I think that that's what you'll see. But getting back to Daniel Bryan, I think that he is going to end up getting the WrestleMania push, facing whoever's heel champion going to WrestleMania on SmackDown. Who is that going to be?
Now, see, something just popped in my head. I'm going to retract a little bit by saying that AJ Styles may or may not be champion by fall. If their WWE's putting him on the face of the new video game, they may keep him around till at least the release of the video game.
Here's what I think.
He is the cover boy for the 2K19 WWE wrestling video game.
Yeah, Cena wasn't Cena last year?
Last year was
no, that was Lesnar.
Yeah, it was Lesnar.
That's true. Never mind. Cena was like 4 years ago. But yeah, no, I think what's going to happen is Miz is going to become champion. Daniel Bryan, Miz headlining WrestleMania is what I want to see, because that is the long-term feud. 5-6 years in the making. I think that if they could capitalize on that, that would be a hell of a match. That would give Miz the attention that and the respect that he deserves. He needs another run at the championship for what he did with the IC belt and what he's done for his character, and essentially become one of the grizzled veterans of the company. And has kind of carried the company through some lean times. Yeah. I think Miz gets another shot. You saw that with him being last night as one of the final two in the gauntlet match. Rusev getting the nod to go on to Extreme Rules. I'm happy they're giving him a shot. I don't think he's going to walk away with the belt, but I think that giving him a shot says, all right, here we're going to put you in the main title picture. What do you do with it? Can you become somebody like Nakamura, who just spent the last 4 months chasing the belt? Not getting it, but chasing it and being in that top picture. If he can, maybe Rusev gets the belt at some point. Because sometimes that's better than winning the belt. Is because you keep getting, what I'm saying? Like you're always striving for that, and it helps build on your character, and it's always keeping you in the main event status. So maybe that's I kind of agree with what you just said. So my hope is that Bryan goes on to face Miz at WrestleMania next year. It's something that, 3 years ago, if somebody would have said Daniel Bryan and the Miz main eventing WrestleMania, I'd say why? Because I was not a Miz fan. I hated him a few years ago, but I've come to really appreciate what he's done. So Daniel Bryan puts on his heel hook maneuver to tap out Big Cass. Not a surprise. I didn't expect Big Cass to win it. I don't think Bryan has taken a pay-per-view pin since he's returned. I don't believe so either. So He's taken a handful. I mean, he's lost. He's lost in SmackDown a handful of times, but even just on one-on-one matches. But moving on to our third match of the night, probably, in my opinion, the worst match of the night, Bobby Lashley against Sami Zayn.
Ugh.
This was rough.
Ugh. First off, what are they doing with Lashley? Now, we kind of got a better picture of that on Raw.
I think he gets his
wasting
push.
him.
I think he gets his push going into SummerSlam. He's not going to be in the title hunt, but I think he's going to have something going into SummerSlam.
I just feel like, watching this match, I felt like they're wasting him.
Mm-hmm.
He came in at the top of his game, leaving Impact. He was a main eventer there.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like they were wasting him. He looks great. He looks like he's in great shape.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the body that Vince McMahon likes. He's built. The crowd's over with him just suplexing one person with one hand. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just feel like he needs to be in there because I could see him beating Brock Lesnar's ass. He has an MMA background.
Yeah.
If anybody can take Brock Lesnar besides, Braun Strowman, put another MMA guy in there.
I really think that Lashley goes into some sort of low to mid card feud going into SummerSlam, but I think it's one that matters. I can see him going up against somebody like Elias, and I think that would be great. Yeah. Elias is for a mid card guy. He's pretty built. I mean, he's a solid big guy. Him against Elias, that would be good for both of them because Elias needs a push. He got it a little bit. I think the fact that the match that we'll talk about here shortly with Rollins, I think that was one of the best matches of the night. And I think that the fact that he is going one-on-one with Rollins, who is the MVP of the year right now, as far as carrying the company, he's getting looks. I'm hoping that either guy, Elias on Raw looked a little disheveled. He looked like his character's shifting a little bit. So maybe something with Lashley. I don't know who else he goes up against. Maybe Kevin Owens. I don't know, but he just went with Sami Zayn. You're going to get a lot of the same essential, just poking fun at who he is. That's what Kevin Owens does. I just don't see a natural fit for where he goes next.
Because right now he's mid-carding it.
He's mid-carding. Well, and Extreme Rules is going to have a multiple-man match. It doesn't have a whole lot of details yet, but essentially we know that Reigns and Lashley will be in this match, and there will be multiple men. The winners of that match will go on to face Lesnar at SummerSlam.
Because when he
become the number one contender.
When he signed his deal to come back over to WWE, there had to been somebody had to have been some type of guarantee, like we're eventually within a 6-month span, 8-month span, we're going to get you into a title run or something. Why come back and mid card it when he was
money?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'd be low card at WWE
Better
versus
exposure.
the champion at TNA or Impact, whatever it's called, any day.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to get a lot more money. You're going to get a lot more, like you said, exposure. So, but yeah, we'd mentioned this earlier with Sammy's injury. I think essentially the reason why this match was so off is that Sammy was hurt, and he wasn't able to put off. I don't really think he got much offense in at all. I remember seeing him getting a few here and there. He was outmaneuvered Lashley more than actually hit him.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Lashley finished it. And Lashley did his, fingers on the chest pin. It was not in question if he was going to win or not. It was just basically, how does he win?
Yeah.
Sammy really never stood
and
a
I feel like at this point, the crowd, not really into it.
Oh, no.
First couple of matches, just not really into it. And this is Chicago. Chicago's known for being a little feisty.
Yeah.
They weren't into it. It was dead.
Yeah, and I think that this, as far as the booking of where they placed the matches, I think that Daniel Bryan Big Cass was a poor choice. I can understand the backing behind it, saying you bring out Bryan as the first person of the pay-per-view and the crowd's going to go nuts. It's the first time they've seen him since he came back to wrestle. So yeah, start out with Daniel Bryan, but that match wasn't strong. Yeah. Honestly, I say you put maybe even the women's one first. That was a strong one. They were still upset. I read that the females were not happy with their placement.
No.
They thought they were going to main event it, but I'm like, you can't main event it, and we'll talk about why later. But yeah, I think that because of...
Even if they put the Carmella match first.
Yeah. I don't think that they set themselves up.
That got the crowd more excited than the first two matches.
Yeah. Or even Rollins Elias.
Yeah.
Put your workhorses first. Do the Ziggler treatment. You put the person in the mat. You put the best athletic match first. because that's the one that's going to get people excited for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
You know, you don't necessarily put your most high profile, but you put your athletes first. Daniel Bryan's an athlete. Big Cass was not. Bobby Lashley's an athlete. Sami Zayn was hurt. You know, so your first two matches were kind of stale.
Yeah.
You know, I thought they were the two worst matches of the night.
Yeah, they were.
All right. Let's move on to, we talked about this match just a little bit beforehand, or at least the people involved. Seth Rollins versus Elias for the Intercontinental Belt. What did you think of this one?
I gave this one an A. I really liked it. I even was thinking like, wow, two dark-bearded, dark-haired men wrestling each other. I was like, it was hard to tell them apart at some points, but it was Elias had a great promo at the beginning. I am always entertained by his promos. I was thinking, you know, and this was early in the night, but I was like, this match could steal the show. Mm-hmm. This match could steal the show. I think Rollins' super kick looks great. He had a couple of really good super kicks in there.
He sold his knee injuries well too.
Yeah,
like, it still scares the hell out of me because, like, as somebody who's had knee injuries, I know like this. I could even think about hurting my knee right now, and I get like goosebumps because you just feel it.
Or when you see somebody actually do it, it makes me goosebumps. I've dislocated my kneecap 3 times.
He sold it well. So a couple times I thought he actually was hurt, and then I was like, okay, no, he's good. He's fine.
This is a really, 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 really good match. These guys worked well with each other. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure it was Rollins calling the match.
I'll guarantee. Elias is too new still, but he handled it well. Yeah,
there was at one point where I really thought for a second that they were going to let Elias win.
Oh, I wrote it down. I said I legitimately thought at least twice in the match, especially after the elbow.
There was one part where that made me think they're going to let him win. Is when Rollins superplexed him and then turned it into a Falcon Arrow, and then he kicked out.
Yeah,
and I was like, they're going to let him win. This is like somebody kicking out of the Hulk Hogan leg drop. Like they're gonna, but it was.
I thought that it was after Elias had thrown Rollins back into the ring, and then did his Macho Man elbow. I thought that was it because it was the way in which it was paced, like he was gonna steal it. Yeah, and he hit the big move, and I was like, oh man, he's gonna get the belt. And then he kicked out, and I was like, oh, okay, now maybe Rollins is going to keep it. But
this was like a jump to a car battery for the audience. Like,
it was much needed.
It was a slap in the face of being like you're halfway asleep and you're just getting slapped in the face. This was a really good wrestling match. Both people back and forth, ups and downs.
My question is, so the match ends with a little bit, not necessarily controversy, but a little bit of unsportsmanlike usage. Rollins has a handful of tights on the roll-up. Yeah. Basically this idea that Rollins gave his best and it wasn't quite enough to beat Elias, so he had to not necessarily cheat, but bend the rules to finish it off. Do you think that we've got a Rollins heel turn coming up soon?
I don't know, because he's so over with the crowd right now. Maybe if he did lose the title.
That's why I'm saying
he did lose the title. So,
and my question is why have Ziggler take the title? Because the next night, if you guys didn't watch Raw this week, Ziggler answers Rollins' open challenge and wins. And so now you've got Ziggler, who I don't think is going to hold the title for very long because it's Dolph Ziggler, and I'd much rather see McIntyre and Ziggler in the tag team division right now because they are doing really well. They're kicking ass together. They are strong-arming everybody. I think that it's a surprise. He's going to get his rematch next week, correct? Or is it at Extreme Rules?
I think so. I think it might be at Extreme Rules.
I'm going to look that one up real quick.
But I could see that making a heel turn.
Yeah, I think that right now...
Because he's a great heel. He's a better heel than a babyface.
Yeah, let's see here. So, Bleacher Report says, let's see here. With McIntyre as a backup, battle will be added to the Extreme Rules card. So, I think that definitely we will see. I think he'll get it back.
Is this more of like a whiny heel? Of
Rollins?
Yeah. Just a whiny, pompous.
Because that's what he did when he was with the Authority, and it got old. It was done very well. It just got old. Yeah. Because he did it for so long. He held on to the title a little longer than I think he should have. But yeah, I don't know. I think that eventually we maybe see a triple threat out of this with Elias, Rollins, and Ziggler. Maybe even a SummerSlam match of if they, like we said, if Lashley gets involved and he gets the belt, you could do Lashley, Elias, Ziggler, and Rollins. I'm not against those matches. We had a handful of them during Mania, and they were some of the best ones. I mean, triple threats, fatal four ways. Those, if they're done correctly and not overdone, they can be phenomenal. You got a lot of athletes in that kind of a group, so it could be fun. But I don't know. I really hope not. I think he's over so much right now that eventually Dean Ambrose will come back. And if they ever want to bring the Shield back together, you can't have. You've got enough people booing Roman Reigns right now. You can't have people upset with Rollins going back to heel, and then you just go back to what you were at.
My question for this match is, who did this match make look better?
Elias.
Yeah,
Rollins doesn't need to look good. Rollins has been looking good all year.
Yeah, but this shows that Elias, I wrote down, he can hang. Mm-hmm. He can hang with them. He can put on a great match. He can go the distance. Yeah.
I think this is proof that Elias has the opportunity very shortly. I think he'll walk away with gold by the end of 2018.
Like this is almost like a test from backstage of let's just see what you can do. And
he'd be good to move over to SmackDown in a shakeup and take the U.S. title.
Yeah,
it's kind of stale right now. I think we're going to see Hardy and Nakamura.
His
go
promos
together.
are really good. Imagine putting the gold on him. Mm-hmm. Like it just would add another layer to his promos.
He's cocky already. You give him a belt, he's going to be even more. So yeah, I think this was a test. I'm still very confused as why Ziggler has the belt right now, though. We'll see probably in the next couple weeks what the long-term plan with that is. All right, so next match of the night is our first Money in the Bank match, the women's title, or the women's not title Money in the Bank match. What were your thoughts on this? Because we had quite a lot of people in this match. It was 8 women. We had Alexa Bliss. We had Lana. We had Natalya. We had Charlotte Flair, Ember Moon, Becky Lynch, Naomi, and Sasha Banks.
I wish they would give Becky Lynch a chance.
I thought it was hers.
At
the
really
end, I thought
too.
it was hers. She actually was looking like she was trying to get the. She had her hand on it.
Yeah.
She was actually like trying to unclasp the the hook.
I wish they would just give her a chance. I'm a fan of hers. I just wish they would give her a chance. This is a very fast-paced match.
Yep.
Which I'm glad to see. There were a couple of spots that I really liked. It was good.
The Ember Moon springboard off the ropes onto Sasha Banks onto the ladder, that came out of nowhere. Yeah. That was one of my favorite spots of the match.
My favorite was Natalya's standing powerbomb of Banks onto the standing ladder. Mm-hmm. I liked that. I liked the Bliss's powerbomb from Flair.
Yeah.
Was really good. And then, of course, the Miss Bliss little twist off the top rope was pretty good too.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think that when I look at this, this group, Lana, no business winning. Never anticipated her to actually win it. No. Natalya, not in the picture. She's there because she's just a workhorse. She's strong. Bliss eventually wins it.
Yeah.
But I didn't think she needed it.
No.
I don't think at least in this group right now, she didn't need it. Flair never needs it. Ember Moon too soon. So for me, it came down to who was going to win it between Lynch, Banks, and Naomi.
Yeah. I knew Flair wasn't going to win it. She's getting ready to be gone from the company for a little bit for surgery.
Yeah.
She had a breast implant leak. So, and it was just announced yesterday that she's going to be one of the feature models in the ESPN body issue.
Oh, cool.
So she's going to be doing that. So she has to make sure everything's functioning right before the pictures are taken. But to me, like out of the wrestlers of this match, Ember Moon, Flair, and Becky. And then there was everybody else.
Yeah.
I don't consider Sasha Banks a really good wrestler.
Oh, I don't either, but the company still does.
Oh, yeah. I don't consider her in the same categories Ember Moon or Flair, Becky Lynch, even Natalya to a point. So I knew she wasn't going to win it. Lana is Lana.
Lana's just there for fun.
Alana's about 2 decades short. Like,
yeah,
if
she would have shown up in the
Tori
late
Wilson,
90s. Yeah, late 90s to mid 2000s.
She'd been a star.
She definitely would have been a star.
But she's a couple of decades too late.
You actually have to be able to wrestle now.
How long did it take Naomi to get it? There's that one spot towards the end, right before Becky Lynch got up there, that Naomi was up there on the ladder, and it looked like she was, damn it, fiddling with that class for almost 3 minutes. Like, how long is that class?
She probably was waiting for someone to interrupt, and they didn't come in when they were supposed to.
It had to have been, because she was up there. I was like, well, she's got it.
Yeah.
She's touching the clamp. She's got the. It's like, well, no, here, so I get up here.
Yeah, I don't remember.
There was a lot of good spots in it. I enjoyed it. I am fully supportive of the women's division, and I really appreciate it when these women, no pun intended, go balls out.
Oh yeah,
match.
This is a great match.
It's the same thing with the Royal Rumble and the Elimination Chamber.
Yep.
They go all out, and I'm like, this is the way it is.
Well, and as long as we continue to have women who can wrestle, I'm fine with
yes.
that. I hated when you had
bikini matches
the
and
Bella Twins,
pillow fights, and
I still don't think Brie or what's her name,
Nikki
have any talent.
No,
I think that Brie is more technically sound, and that's it. I think of the two, it doesn't say much. I hated that they had so much time at the top,
and I think that's why you don't see them anymore.
Oh yeah. Well, and Nikki's done. She's a reality show star now. She's not a wrestler. In my opinion, she never was. It upset me when you had people when she was winning matches. When you had even people like Natalia and Paige who are just getting overlooked because I'm like, well, they're actually putting things together and essentially.
But I think we have reached a point where the better wrestlers of women have now outweighed the what would you call it, the faux pas,
the fluff
wrestlers of women. Beforehand, during that time period of late 80s into 2000s, we had 1 or 2 women that could really go at it, like a Beth Phoenix,
what was her name,
Michelle McCool.
Yep,
I thought could.
Layla had some chops there.
Yeah, but then you had more fluff like the Bellas.
Yeah.
But now I think it's flipped, and due in part to probably Stephanie and Triple H, is that we're bringing these women up from NXT that can really go. Mm-hmm. Like, if you missed that match on NXT the night before with Nikki Cross, that was a really good match. I mean, these women were beating the shit out of each other. And there are a lot of good spots in this ladder match.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good time for women's wrestling.
It is.
This was a great match. I think the fact that we have 10 matches on the card and 3 of them are women's, that's strong.
Yeah,
that's strong showing to say that you had pretty much every single. Well, I'll take that back. You had nearly every single relevant female star on the card,
and each one in this ladder match got a good spot time.
Oh yeah,
even
everybody had something.
Even Lana had a good 5-6 minutes where she was in control and doing stuff. So
I think your biggest disappointment to this is that Lana made it, and you had someone like Ruby Riott who didn't.
Yeah.
Even what's her name? Sarah Logan. I think her and Sonya Deville are in 5 years. I think that those two are at the top. I love their work ethic. Deville needs to get better on the mic, and Logan needs to just get the mic. I don't think she's ever talked because you've got Ruby Riott who does it, but those two, as far as in the ring, I think they're phenomenal. And you got Mandy Rose. She's okay, but she's definitely there for another reason.
And it's getting a bit crowded.
It is.
Like there's some
and you've
people,
got more continuing to come up.
And some people are gonna, and I think that's one of the reasons why they haven't brought Nikki Cross up from NXT yet. But some people are gonna have to take a back seat. So your Lana's and maybe a Natalia who's just been there for a long time.
I think Natalia and I just had her in my mind. I think that Natalia retires soon.
You think?
I think she does.
Because her husband's an agent now.
Yeah, he is. He had to. He had to retire for an injury. I think she retires before she has to retire.
Yeah.
It's getting very crowded. You've got people like, Bayley, who I still don't understand. Raw finally gives this, oh, hey, we had a rivalry between Bayley and Sasha Banks attention again.
Yeah. Was that like 3 months ago? Oh, we better do something with that.
They never had, and I was just talking to another friend of mine this week about, hey, didn't they have a rivalry and it was never resolved? And I mean, slow burn is one word, but this has been ridiculous. It's, I think, about 8 times I've seen and heard them say, oh, this friendship has finally imploded. It's imploded about 20 times.
Based on what?
Like, give us a street fight. Give us something where these two want to kill each other because they're so angry.
Yeah.
Then I'll believe it's imploded. Until then, I'm going to continue to think that you guys are just dragging it along because you're waiting for the right time. And you're going to lose it pretty soon if they don't do it.
Because nobody's going to care.
Exactly. But yeah, you didn't have Bayley on the card, which surprised me. And definitely Ruby Riott. You didn't have Riot Squad or... well, I don't think they're called this anymore, but Absolution. You didn't have any of them anywhere near the card, and that was a disappointment because those are some of the up and comers.
Yeah.
So Lana did not belong in this match, and she had her spot. That's fine, but you had better people, you had better athletes, and you had a lot stronger performers. I still am not sold on Naomi. I get her appeal. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if she realistically belongs in the title. I still see her as a Funkadactyl. Like, she's grown way beyond that, but in my mind, I still just see her as that. I don't know. She'll be around for quite some time. She had some good
spots, but Ember Moods, I think, is a better wrestler.
Yeah.
Just more gifted and talented. She had a big following in NXT. I think that's who.
It was too soon for her. Yeah. I think that she's definitely going to be in the top spot here soon. Yeah. Again, it's pretty crowded right now. You got Rousey and Jax Bliss. You've got a very crowded top of the card.
But this is good.
Yeah.
And don't be surprised if there's another 3 matches at Extreme Rules for women. I mean,
well, maybe they'll throw in the first real main card Bayley Banks match. Given an Extreme Rule stipulation.
You don't think they'll build that towards SummerSlam?
They will, but I think their first one will be there. It won't be very long. Something will happen. Somebody will come in and mess it up. I don't think it will be a culmination because they've fought.
Yeah,
they have fought. We need a payoff. We need something to at least say, okay, this is going somewhere. I think it'll be a loser leaves WWE match or something. Like something big. By maybe SummerSlam's maybe a little early, but WrestleMania or something like that. They've been playing with this for too long to not have a payoff.
Are you okay with Bliss winning here?
I am.
I mean, she really did.
She didn't need it. She didn't need it. The ones that needed it were Ember Moon, Becky Lynch, or Sasha Banks. Natalya, Natalya's just not going to be the top picture. No. But I think that, the company still likes Banks enough that she didn't have an immediate in to the title picture. Becky Lynch needs to get an in. And then Ember Moon being so young with it that she wasn't going to jump to the top.
The commentators even made comment of that after the match was done. They're like, Becky Lynch always coming so close twice now and coming up short. And it's like, well, that's a good way to spin it, but you'll keep her in the title.
At some point, she needs to win.
Yeah.
Or you're going to think she's the next Bray Wyatt, always all talk and no win. Bliss, I'm fine with Bliss winning it because it gives a proven athlete, proven competitor an opportunity to do something with it. If they put it on Lana, it would have been nothing but a character development. Yeah. Bliss didn't need it for character development. She needed it for the title.
Yeah.
So
Bliss is a great heel.
Yeah.
I mean, she knows what to say, how to get heat. So I was okay with her winning it.
Yeah, she just had the belt at WrestleMania. It's only been 3-4 months. So it was like Money in the Bank comes around once a year and it's an opportunity for someone that you haven't expected to have an opportunity to win. And she has won the belt 3 or 4 times already. She's not somebody who you would have been like, oh wow, letting Ember Moon hold on to it for 4 or 5 months going into maybe like, SummerSlam or, one of our later, maybe even Survivor Series or something like that. Doing something then it's different. Carmella had no business being a champion.
No.
She won.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, she wins, and now she's seen as a top player. So it's like, I don't know. I think they wasted it this year. Although I'm okay with her winning, I just think that it was underwhelming for her as the pick.
But I'm really excited about what they're going to do with her and possibly Ronda Rousey.
Oh yes, I'm thrilled for the future of this
segment
rivalry.
on Raw. Loved it.
Yep,
loved. I mean, she had her up in some type of fireman's carry and just dumped her on that table.
Oh yeah. Well, and I mean, I think that's a perfect rivalry of having Rousey and Bliss. That is going to be phenomenal.
And I think Bliss could help her, and I think Bliss could carry her and walk her through it, and they could have a great couple of matches.
Well, and right now you're going to have Rousey with Bliss and Jax because that's still not finished.
No.
And Bliss and Jax are buddies.
Which is good, because that still bleeds back to WrestleMania.
Exactly. You have Bliss and Jax are buddies, and Rousey's new. Rousey needs an in, and those two are very good people who are strong competitors. They've both grown in a very short amount of time, so they know what it takes.
And her promo, I think it was on Raw, was basically what everybody says. It's like, you're new here, you don't know, you have no right to be at the top all of a sudden. What have you done?
Yeah.
It's really pulling from reality, because it's true. She's on the match that she had at Money in the Bank was her first singles match on TV.
It was.
So everything that Bliss is saying to Rousey, it's good points. It's like, I'm not lying.
Yeah.
I'm just I know you guys love her and cheer for her every time we come out, but I'm just pointing out that she hasn't deserved anything.
I think it'll be good. I'm very excited for where we're going next.
But I go circling back. I really liked the women's Money in the Bank match.
It was a good match. It was strong. Yeah. The next match that we're talking about, I don't know. I think we'll have some differing opinions on this. Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns. Of course, Roman Reigns wins because it's Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And that was why I think this wasn't a good match. If Jinder would have won, I think this match to me would have gone from like a C-, D+ to an A- because it was actually a decent match. You had two tough guys who weren't just doing their signature moves back and forth and just punching each other. There was some back and forth. There was some character with what's his name, one of the Singh brothers, Sunil Singh, faking an injury. So you had some things there.
Yeah.
But I think that it just was kind of this idea that Reigns got his ass kicked and still won. And so you're like, okay, same old story.
Yeah.
He's probably at Extreme Rules going to be get beaten from post to post and still win. He's going to win. Like, he wins all the matches. When he finally doesn't win, then he actually has some character development only to win and fall back into the same type of Roman Reigns that we have come to just hate.
If you have kids listening to the podcast, this would be the time to have them go get something to eat out of the refrigerator. If you've listened to a previous podcast, I cannot stand Roman Reigns. I am on the same page as you, is that you have to... I can tolerate him if he turns heel. But right off the bat, the crowd was shitting on this match.
Well, they hated it.
I wrote down the booing and shitting on Roman Reigns. I said... Crowd is shitting on this match. At one point, the crowd was shouting, and I have a list of things. Cena sucks, let's go Cena. The crowd was shouting that. Delete, doing the wave, which was very noticeable on cameras, and I've read in several sources that Vince McMahon cannot stand that.
The wave, the beach balls.
The beach balls. People started chanting Rusev Day. People started chanting NXT. They started chanting, this match sucks. I mean, this was going on through the entire match, and I know that Michael Cole is getting a narrative from somebody in the back.
Yep.
Basically saying like he did the night after WrestleMania, where it's like, oh, it's the night after WrestleMania and it's crazy as shit here.
The Chicago
and
crowd.
People cheer for people that they shouldn't. People boo the people that they shouldn't. But, I mean, my heart was curdling every time I would hear Michael Cole speak about Roman Reigns. I mean, he is in love with Roman. Here comes the big dog. And
it's ridiculous.
If
they don't turn him heel, here's the thing: is Cena had his Super Cena element, and people hated it, but Cena started losing at some point.
Yeah,
Cena also,
and he got his ass beat by Brock Lesnar, which I think helped his career.
The thing with Cena is he didn't win every single match that he was in, but the thing is that the matches that he was in, he actually started holding on to the belt. He won a belt at a young age and held it for a while. It helped define his character with the spinning, W, like that was who his character was. Reigns has been chasing for so long, and even after he became the champion, he didn't change.
No.
Like, he just became the same character. It's the same thing. So now they're trying to say, well, he's the top guy. Well, if he's the top guy, then why doesn't he have the belt?
Yeah.
He's been chasing it for
And
so
how
long.
long is he going to be the top guy? How many chances does he get that nobody else gets?
And that's the thing, is he doesn't have to win a match and he's already in the number one contender spot. Or at least in a match to become number one contender. You know, it's consistent how we get this Roman Reigns fighting, because, you know, the fighting from underneath, this battling back. That's definitely what you want a face to do. A babyface needs to be an underdog. But Roman Reigns, if he's in a match, if he doesn't win, it's a surprise. It's not that underdog mentality of, you know, fighting against
cheaters. You can see it coming from like 5 minutes out. You can see, oh, here it goes. Nope.
He always faces adversity and he always overcomes it. If he didn't, the only time I think since WrestleMania he has not overcome some sort of adversity was when Mahal screwed him out of the Money in the Bank match. So he didn't get into the Money in the Bank match. The problem is that guy, he doesn't get to the Money in the Bank match. But yet, even though he's facing Mahal and beats Mahal, now he's thrown into this other match to win a championship opportunity. I guarantee you Mahal will be in that too. Even though he lost to Roman Reigns, Jinder Mahal will be in that match at Extreme Rules.
I gave this match a D. I didn't like it.
There's
one spot where Roman Reigns threw this horrible punch to the guy in the wheelchair, and it was almost on like delay, and he didn't react right to it as fast as he should, and all of a sudden you see him flying back out of his wheelchair. I mean, it's just, I think the crowd affected the match.
Reigns, no matter how much he says, he plays the whole Triple H, McMahon, whatever he tells him to do. Yeah. It doesn't matter if they're booing me or cheering me, they're reacting to me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if they're reacting to you, you know, we've done this before where we love Alexa Bliss. We love Kevin Owens. They're heels. Okay? People will boo heels. But people who watch wrestling and appreciate the dedication of crafting a character and working it like Bliss and Owens, for example, as heels, appreciate what he's doing. That's why they're cheering him and her. No one thinks that Reigns is putting in time. They completely lost all the momentum that he had put in when he had the match against Big Show.
Yeah.
He had a couple really strong matches about a year and a half ago that were kind of him trying to get back into the title picture. They took him out. It was when he was the U.S. champion for a little bit, or at least in that time. It wasn't his best matches, but he had a lot of better matches. And then they just went back to the same. And I
even enjoyed the little small series of matches he had with Braun Strowman.
Oh, the Braun Strowman matches were phenomenal.
Yeah. But I'm tired of him getting pushed. And going back to your example of Cena, well, after a while, Cena started playing around with the crowd. Mm-hmm. He knew how it worked.
Cena has broken the fourth wall permanently now.
He knows how that works, and and people kind of appreciated that. I appreciated that he finally acknowledges, I'm not going to get the best crowd reaction, but that's okay. Roman Reigns is still just pushing forward, push forward.
Yeah.
Just they'll love you.
There were 2 or 3 times where he had the opportunity, and he got it. And it was like, oh, they might let him be a little edgier. I'm okay with him even being a Stone Cold style face. Yeah. Being an edgier face.
Yeah, that promo he gave right before WrestleMania about Brock Lesnar's a part-timer, I'm here full-time. That was a great, that was a really good promo,
I think, to date.
But then he slips back into the old routine.
Yeah. They need to allow him to have some edge, because the thing is they want him to be the next, Cena and be the mascot, the one that all the kids want to see. I was a kid in the Attitude Era, and I would have given anything to go hang out with Stone Cold. Yeah. Even though he's drinking beers and he was a horrible influence, he was still somebody who I was like, this guy's awesome. Yeah. I want to see him. So if I was somebody who's doing a Make-A-Wish, the fact that he was a beer-swilling guy flipping off the crowd, that didn't matter. He doesn't have to be a really family-friendly face for people to enjoy him. And Reigns is towing that line between, I look like I belong in a biker bar, but I'm going to talk to you like I'm just a spoiled brat who grew up in Connecticut.
Yeah, I was the same way when growing up watching wrestling. I leaned towards the heels. I remember if we're going from WWE, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I really liked what the Hart Foundation did when they were just anti-America. I thought that was really cool because 95% of their shows were in America.
Yeah.
So no matter where you went, they were taking heat. I liked the Brian Pillmans, and it just I
was a Mankind guy.
Yeah.
I love Mick Foley. I didn't care if he was face, heel, whatever. He was just weird, and I thought it was cool.
And I think a lot of people in that era that watched wrestling were sick and tired of the Hulk Hogan, take your vitamins, and here comes the Ultimate Warrior and stuff like that, where it's like, we don't want black and white anymore. We want shades of gray, like Vince McMahon used to say. So I feel like he's trying to make him into this. He's trying to replicate Cena.
Look what they did with Strowman.
Yeah.
Strowman was a heel.
Yeah, he came in with the Wyatts.
He was a heel for a very long time. And then the crowd finally started to get behind him.
Because he's beating the shit out of people.
Playing the bass like Elias as a guitar. He's talking about the sexually charged interactions with Alexa Bliss, and he's smiling. This big guy who is nothing but anger and just tearing things apart is smiling, and you're like, oh, there's a real person behind there. Chris Jericho has said it 100 times, and I think it's the best way of saying how to get somebody over. Let them be themselves, turned up. Yeah. You turn them up to 11 or 12, let them be a characterized version of themselves, and then you don't have to worry about writing a script or writing a character. Just let them do what they do within the realm of wrestling. Yeah. And Strowman's starting to do that. Braun's doing that, and he's getting pushed.
We don't know who Reigns is.
Exactly. You see these pictures of him or these videos with him around like Father's Day, and you're like, oh, he's got like 3 kids. I'd never know that.
No.
I see him as this lone wolf guy who is angry at everybody for hating him, but is never going to do anything about it.
Fuck Roman Reigns.
It's ridiculous. At some point, they're going to do something. And if they don't, then we'll just continue to complain. Because
this stuff has to ride out. Because that you're going to have to see something. He's going to have to get over this hump of Brock Lesnar. He's going to have to go in there and beat Brock Lesnar because he hasn't beaten Brock Lesnar, really.
Yeah, no, he's never beat him.
So, this is coming. It's coming. SummerSlam.
And that's why I'm hoping that when he beats him at SummerSlam, that you hear, it's a bloody battle, and then you hear Braun's, his roar.
Him and Brock Lesnar go to the limit.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, the crowd pops and...
Oh, yeah. That's the way that SummerSlam will end.
We just wrote SummerSlam.
Oh, it's wrote itself. I mean, Braun Strowman, as soon as he won it, I was like, okay, well, he was supposed to be in the main event title for the title at WrestleMania this year because of his build. They just waited a little bit longer because he had nothing.
Yeah.
He literally had nothing. He won the tag team belts with the child because they had nothing else. They were basically afraid that Roman Reigns, they're going to have to suspend him.
Yeah.
And so that's why they didn't do anything with Braun, because they figured, okay, if Braun's not in the title picture, or if he's got this little side thing, we can bump him up and figure out another tag team.
Brock Lesnar loses, he can go back to UFC.
Yeah.
They now have a new monster to strap the belt to. Who in the foreseeable future can beat Braun Strowman?
Well, and that's going to be where I think eventually you see like Bobby Lashley come into play. Unfortunately, that means one of them is going to need to turn heel. And I don't know.
I don't think how you turn Braun Strowman heel at this point.
Not at this point.
I mean, he could go out there and to any match and beat the shit out of somebody, and the crowd's still going to cheer him.
In the immediate aftermath of, you're going to see a Reigns and Strowman rivalry, but I think eventually you'll see an Owens and Strowman rivalry because you're seeing Owens try to like continuously talk to Braun and get him to be like, oh, we're the outcasts, no one likes us, we're different. At some point, you're going to see those two go, and they're going to be great matches because I think Owens is athletic enough to be able to play off this big monster of Strowman. And Strowman's gotten a lot better as an in-ring performer. So, yeah. All right, let's move on to our first of the 2 women's championship matches, Carmella and Asuka for the SmackDown title. The match itself was pretty strong, I thought. The ending to me was where I was confused, and I think a lot of people who are watching are pretty confused. We saw the return of James Ellsworth. I don't know why. The reason why they got rid of him is because Carmella's character didn't need him anymore.
Yeah.
Well, now she has the belt, and now she needs him. I mean, she has more legitimacy to her than she had without him. And she doesn't need a hype man. She's got a belt around her waist that hypes her herself.
Yeah, and she can hype herself. She's good with promos. I wrote down before the match, I said Asuka could really make her look foolish wrestling. I don't think Carmella's a very strong wrestler.
No.
I don't know. Watching the match, I kind of wrote down, she doesn't know how to properly sell. I don't think she knows how to properly sell a move. Asuka was kicking her ass.
Yeah.
Asuka was throwing some hell of a kicks. I don't think she knows how to properly sell, and she has this permanent duck face that it just kind of irritates me a little bit. But I don't know. I gave this match a C-. And that's only that high because Asuka's in it. Because, she could wrestle a broom and I'd be interested in it. I didn't feel like she was selling the ass kicking that she was getting from Asuka. And then to me, it was kind of a shit ending.
Yeah, I didn't like the ending. I understand it. It keeps Asuka safe.
Yeah.
She didn't lose because Carmella was better. She lost because things got weird and she didn't understand what was going on. She became disoriented, and then lost as a result of that. That keeps her. Yes, she took the pin, but it wasn't a clean pin, really. In all reality, so she's still safe there. She'll stay in the hunt. And realistically, I think Asuka then, in the end, Asuka takes the belt from Carmella.
Yeah.
Where that goes next, then that would be maybe. Asuka came into the WWE on the main card as a heel, as this cocky heel who had her undefeated streak. You can't beat me. You're not ready for me. And now she's kind of lost as to who her character is. She's kind of back to who she was early in NXT, of just this mysterious, very strong, very compelling wrestler, but she doesn't have a direction right now. So I think when she takes the belt from Carmella, my thing would be is it as a heel or as a face? Yeah. She's a face right now, but I don't see another heel ready to face her.
Let her have a long championship run. If that's what built her up in NXT, is having this undefeated streak. Let her have a long championship run. I mean, I don't know offhand what the number is for the longest days for a women's championship.
It's Nikki, because she took it over from AJ, because they wanted nothing to do with CM Punk or AJ Lee for a while. So right now it's almost a year. I think it's like 300 days. Let
her break that. Do that. Let her build another streak. If that's what's got her. One thing I wanted to point out. Did you notice how long it took for Carmella to actually get behind Asuka during that whole finish? So James Ellsworth comes up.
She was like
comes up to the.
I think they were wanting to sell the fact of like, oh my god, he's back, and she's like, what is going on? But yeah, the roll up.
This man's chin.
Yeah. The roll-up took a little long.
Yeah, like, it's just, I just kind of saw her, and I know they cut away from it when he took the mask off, but it just, to me, I was like, it's taken her too damn long to get behind Asuka so he could just roll her up for the pin.
Yeah, I think that eventually, Carmella, basically, as long as Carmella has the belt, Ellsworth will be here. Once she loses it, it'll be because of him, or she'll blame it on him. She'll kick him out, and then he'll go away again. Yeah. He is only relevant standing next to Carmella, and as long as she's got the belt, there's eyes on him. As soon as she loses it, he'll leave again. But yeah, I think that we will probably see, and it might even be as soon as Extreme Rules. They might, and I think this would be interesting. They may do a handicap match for the belt and make Ellsworth and Carmella defend the belt. And then let's say Asuka pins Ellsworth, Carmella loses the belt. There's your breakup.
Why are we writing? Why are we not getting paid to write this stuff?
I know, right? All right, next match of the night, the only championship match, men's championship match, because Lesnar's off doing his own thing, is Styles versus Nakamura. I think this is their best match to date as far as storytelling.
Yeah.
There are definitely some aspects of athleticism. For me, the second best spot of the night, and we'll talk about the best one in our final match, was AJ Styles to finish off the match, doing his Styles forearm from the top rope of the ring.
Basically onto the announce.
As I say, well, it wasn't even like the post. It was him jumping like he does over, giving the Styles forearm to Nakamura, breaking the table. Oh my gosh. Just the distance. It was like...
Because Nakamura was basically halfway on the announce table when they hit.
Yeah.
So from the rope to almost on top of the announce table.
And it's the middle announce table. It's not like it's just a straight shot. He had diagonally hit this. Phenomenally done. It was one of the best spots of the night.
Very physical match. Very physical match. Like, they were going at it. It was back and forth. Man, the AJ through the table was a great spot. He had that table lined up right there in the corner, and he just hurled him into the table.
You could see when they're on the replays, he is like shoulder charging this as hard as he can. It busted the table. Usually you see these things kind of fold. This thing exploded. Yeah. Pieces were going over. He went right into it. The other really strong the spot that I thought was the Kinshasa when Nakamura ran across he kind of ran across all the tables and gave him the Kinshasa. Because that got him to a 9 count. Essentially, it was the trick of basically rolling over and your feet being on the ground. Because
he just kind of threw himself on the announce table. I also liked the Styles clash to the floor.
I thought that was from the stairs.
From the metal stairs onto the floor. I was like, oh. Like, sometimes you get to that point and you think, like, oh, he's going to, like, reverse it or something. That he went full on through with that, and I was like, oh, that was...
You don't see that very often.
No.
Just like, I think it was...
You don't get to see it very often.
Because it's dangerous. Yeah. When a guy does a spot like that, they take a bump that is going to hurt.
It's not very protected.
No. Well, and that was just like when Xavier Woods actually took the power bomb from Harper onto the steel stairs, whatever the pay-per-view before WrestleMania was, because it was when they broke up the fast lane. Yeah, it was because the Bludgeon Brothers came in and just destroyed the Usos in the New Day. Yeah. No one thought that he was actually going to take a power bomb onto the steel stairs. That doesn't happen because it's dangerous now. He did it. When you see that, you're like, oh my God. You have a little, the respect level goes up a notch for the person who just took that bump.
Yeah. Was that a head chair shot that we saw the first time? That looked very close to a head. And I know
he says in the shoulder. And I was like, I don't think that was a shoulder.
With the CTE and the concussions and stuff like that, I know head shots are pretty much outlawed in WWE right now.
The only person who can get away with it is Lesnar.
Yeah. But to me, that looked like a headshot with a chair. It was very close. And I did catch that too, that he said it was a shoulder. And that didn't look like a shoulder to me. I wonder if he got in trouble with that afterwards.
I probably did. And then what I thought character-wise was very strong was that the Nakamura doing his come on thing and then Styles kicking him low blow.
Yeah.
It was something that was built up. You saw...
It had to happen.
Well, and there were twice, one connected, one didn't, where Nakamura went back to his low blow. He went for one and missed, and then he played the cowardly heel, and then he went for another one later in the match and connected. I thought it was pretty strong that toward the end that all it took was AJ shaking his head like, all right, fine, you're making me do this, and then he kicks him, and I usually like how it's going to happen. Like, I don't know where he kicked because it looked like he hit him. Like, it looked like he just punted him. For a minute,
was that inner thigh? Because it was real close. It had been
real close. So,
AJ, the best wrestler on the roster? Both sides?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's the best. He's top 3 in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'd put Rollins up there.
Because to me, this match saved the pay-per-view.
This was the best match of the night for me. I would say my top 3, I'd put Owens up there.
Yeah.
Because Owens, for a guy his size, takes bumps and does things that he shouldn't do.
Yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago on Raw where he was fighting Braun Strowman, and Strowman just kept running around the ring and football shoulder tackled him 4 times into the guardrail. I was like, oh, that's... And in the last one that he did a full-on flip.
Yeah.
Like, he full-on flipped himself over on that shoulder tackle.
I would put Rollins up there. Styles, though, right now, what Styles is doing is he is holding on to the belt he's gaining some momentum. Like, normally what happens when you see these championship runs is like about halfway through you start to say like, okay, I'm tired of seeing this person with the belt. I haven't felt that way yet.
No.
Because every match that he puts on, he adds something to.
I actually like this match better than one they had at WrestleMania.
Oh, the WrestleMania one was shit.
Yeah.
I hated it.
This is a better match.
It was so poorly done. It just, it was boring. For all the hype of like, oh, this is the dream match. This was the dream match. This is the one where they pulled all the stops.
Yeah.
So, who do you think Styles goes on to face next?
I don't know.
Because Nakamura is going to be feuding with Hardy now.
Yeah.
I think that, we know clearly that Styles is going on to face Rusev, but I think that's a one-off. I think after Extreme Rules, it'll be something. Long term, I don't know who, faces him at SummerSlam. That's a big question. You got about 2 months until SummerSlam.
I don't know. I wasn't expecting that question. I really don't know off the top of my head. Who's hot right now on SmackDown?
Miz. Miz has been hot. Trying to think of who else.
Because the Money in the Bank goes to Raw.
So right now on your SmackDown stars that were in the match, you had Kofi, which I thought that was interesting.
I was expecting Big E.
I thought it was Big E too. But let's see, you got Rusev, Miz, Rude, and is
Rude's Raw.
Rude's on Raw. So Samoa Joe, maybe Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Joe
they've had matches before in Impact. Mm-hmm. I'd
say Joe or Miz. I think it depends. Right now, Miz he's back. He took some time away, but he's back, and I think that if he's not in the U.S. title picture, I don't know. I was gonna be curious. Maybe you see a triple threat or a fatal 4-way at Extreme Rules to see who becomes the number one contender for SummerSlam. Money in the Bank's on Raw, and you also have a match on at Extreme Rules to see who's the number one contender. So Raw's got their picture figured out. Yeah. Who's going to be fitting into that, we don't know. But I don't know who goes to face Styles at SummerSlam.
I'd like to see Samoa Joe.
It'd be a good match.
Yeah.
Be a very good match. Okay, couple matches left. We got Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's Championship. To me, again, this was a very strong match.
Yeah.
The pay-per-view finished with my favorite 3 matches of the night. I thought, as far as performance-wise, were the best. This was another good one.
I thought this match was going to be shit, and it proved me wrong. It was really good. Like I had mentioned before, this is Ronda Rousey's first singles match, and I was thinking as the match started, I was like, she needs more than submission moves. Because the first couple of moves that she did were submission moves. And I was like, if she's going to become a legitimate performer and wrestler in this company, she needs more than singles move. Mm-hmm. She can't be like a Ken Shamrock.
Yeah.
This was a really good match, and I don't know how much they worked this out or how much Nia Jax kind of helped her, but this was a really good match. A really good first singles match for her, because she had Kurt Angle in WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. Kurt Angle kind of carried her. Triple H helped her. This was really good for being on her own.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the fact that Rousey took bumps in this.
Oh, she did. She took quite a few bumps.
There are 3 of them that jumped into mind. She took, first off, a sit-down powerbomb out of an armbar.
Yeah.
She got swung hard into the barricade.
Yes. That looked like a very violent throw.
And then she took a Samoan drop.
Yeah. Did you see the part where she fell out of the ring? Was that a mistake?
I don't know if it was a mistake.
Because it looked like she lost her balance and fell out of the ring.
It might have been, I don't know. She did.
But that did lead to the throwing into the barricade.
Yeah. I don't know. There were a couple, there were a couple times she got thrown out of the ring or she fell out of the ring. I think that might just be her playing up this idea that she's still not ring ready, like she's still learning it. She had where she did the arm bar on over the ropes, using the ropes essentially, and had to break it. She basically had to break it and fall out of the ring because she fell in a way that it was like, you're still learning how to work around a ring. It wasn't dangerous. It just was like a little awkward.
It was.
So she's got a few of those, but
but she looked good.
I'm sold that she can perform.
Yeah.
She can, as long as she stays healthy, she's going to be a top performer for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't see anything getting in her way. I cannot wait to see what they're saying is going to be the match of WrestleMania next year, her and Flair. going to be strong.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be very strong.
Yeah.
I think that eventually she's going to just continue to be facing the top, and she's going to be seen as one of the top. She's
come a long way.
She really has. From her first her first promo where she just was smiling and like, "Hey guys," and
thanks.
I don't know what to say. Now she's just like, "All right." She's doing what Cena does. She's embracing the fact that she's out of her element, but she's doing what she knows how to do, and it's working.
Yeah. Did you see where Nia Jax took a knee to the face?
Yes.
And then right after that, and the announcers even said it like that was a massive judo. I don't know if it was a weight joke that they were trying to make, but then she took a knee to the face, and then Rousey took her right into a judo throw, and that looked like a hell of a judo throw. Like she took
her a second. She was trying to position herself.
Yeah.
And then she did it, and oh man, they said I don't think anybody's ever thrown Nia Jax like that, and I'm pretty sure they're right.
Yeah, but that was a really good spot. She took a really hard knee to the face.
I was going to say, that knee I think was more of a sell than anything, but it looked real.
Yeah.
It was a damn near perfect knee to the face. I mean, the smack, it sounded like she caught her. Oh, it was perfect. Perfect execution there. It was really, really well done.
And I would say 3/4 of the match, Ronda Rousey got her ass beat.
Yeah, as a face should. She
got tossed around. She was manhandled a little bit. I mean, and I was like, okay, here it goes. And, but I feel like the transition between her getting her ass beat and her kind of taking more power into the match was very smooth.
Yeah.
A
heel needs to be fighting to win. They can't be in charge of it the entire time. A face. I said a heel. A face needs to be doing that. So she did what she needed to do. The pacing was strong.
Because with the opponent, with Nia Jax, I legitimately believe she could beat Ronda Rousey's ass. Yeah, Ronda could throw punches, but Jax is bigger. Mm-hmm. Jax is stronger. She's got a little bit more meat on her, so the punches don't hurt as much. She could probably bench press Rousey over her head if she wanted to.
Yeah. Well, didn't she lift her up too?
Yeah.
At one point, it made sense. Jax is twice her size. She needs to be in charge. She needs to. If she's not, she loses legitimacy as a fighter. So they kept Jax. I mean, Jax did not lose the match. Jax did not tap out. We don't know if she would have. We can anticipate that, if they change things up and Bliss doesn't come in and interfere, that then Ronda walks out as champion. It seems that was where they were going. Yeah. That's what they wanted.
I also like the submission move over the rope too.
Yeah,
on the outside. So she's doing a good job. I was very pleasantly surprised by this match. The match ends with a disqualification. Alexa Bliss coming in, I don't know, an hour after her Money in the Bank match, whacks both of them over the heads with the Money in the briefcase. There's a little hesitation there on whether she should do this or not.
I thought she wasn't going to. I thought it was going to be, something like she looked at it and was like,
Edge used to do that. Edge used to and then all of a sudden if the opponent was regaining themselves, he'd be like, no, I'm not going to catch this in. I'm not going to catch. But she did. And she did a little Miss Bliss twist off the top rope and pinned Nia Jax. And you have now a 5-time women's champion in Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, and she just came up about a year ago.
Yeah.
It was in the first draft about 2 years ago, a year and a half or so. So she's not been around very long, but she's definitely got a lot of accolades to her name at this point. Do you think she deserves to be a 5-time champ?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Bliss. I think she's a fantastic heel. I think she's one of the best heels. She's good on the mic.
She can perform when she needs to perform. The last time when we did Elimination Chamber, we talked. Several of the high spots in the match were her. Mm-hmm. I mean, so I'm okay with this. And if they're going to go the way I think they are, based on Monday Night Raw with her and Ronda Rousey, I'm excited for that match. Because Bliss, whereas Ronda's not as good on the mic, Bliss will run her mouth. Mm-hmm. And I think what it'll boil down to at SummerSlam is Ronda's like, I'm going to make you shut up.
Yeah.
And I'm going to beat your ass and I'm going to make you tap in front of everybody.
I think what we see at Extreme Rules, because Ronda Rousey is suspended for 30 days. It's all storyline.
Probably needs a movie film or something like that.
Realistically, I think it's smart because if they want her to stay fresh, they need to keep her off TV. Because there's only so much she can do.
And let Bliss run her mouth.
Yes. So what I think is going to happen is that we're going to see Rousey off TV for a month. That includes Extreme Rules because that's July 15th. So we are less than a month away. She will still be suspended. So what happens is Jax gets her rematch. She's going to get a rematch at Extreme Rules. Because of the fact that it's Extreme Rules, Bliss is going to have some sort of way to cheat and legally and keep the belt. So then Jax will be out of the picture for a short amount of time. I don't think Jax is out of it completely, but I think the fact that it took her so long to finally get there.
Yeah.
But now that you've got Rousey and Rousey's doing well, I think better than they would have ever expected, they're going to have to do something. And Rousey's a face. Jax was a face as a champion. They played up the bully thing. You can't, once you say you tear somebody down from the physical, like, you know, almost fat shaming, body shaming somebody, you can't turn them heel.
Yeah.
You've made them more relatable and believable as a real person. You can't turn them heel, at least not immediately.
And see, after Bliss cashed in the Money in the Bank, I wrote down, and with that sound, that goes Nia Jax's championship run. Like, she will never be champion again.
I think she will eventually. I think she won't for another year or two, though. She's out for a while.
Yeah.
Because now you've got to keep it running. Like, honestly,
she probably has some time off too. I mean, she hasn't
as
far as women matches,
she's
headlined the last couple of pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, she did face Asuka. I mean, she's done plenty of big matches over the past few months. So.
But this Nia Jax versus Ronda Rousey was a pleasant surprise in the match, which could have gone either way.
Honestly, this could have been the main event. With the cash in, would have been a good way to end it.
It could have.
But instead we get the men's Money in the Bank match as our final match of the night. Another very strong match. Fun. Money in the Bank matches are always fun, as was the women's one earlier in the evening. This one didn't fail to live up to that expectation.
So we got Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, Bobby Roode, The Miz, Rusev, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and one member of the New Day, which we thought was going to be Big E. Turns out it was going to be Kofi Kingston. So we got high flyers in there. We got big guys in there. It's a mix of everything. I mean, really,
I should have seen it was Kofi, because you look at it and realistically, Finn Balor's the only other agile wrestler. Bobby Roode is an Orton type. Miz is not necessarily a high flyer. He'll do some stuff, but he's not going to be jumping around the ring.
No. You
needed somebody else. And the only other person legitimately that could have done that was Kofi. Xavier's not necessarily much of a high flyer. So, yeah, I mean, I thought the reveal was pretty funny, where you have Xavier walking down like he's going to be it, and then he tears his shirt and it says Kofi, and everyone's freaking out. They never even teased that it was going to be Big E, at least in the walk-in.
Yeah, I just felt like with the big people, I guess what you're saying does make more sense.
I honestly, I thought it was going to be Big E, but what happened once I saw it, I was like, well, yeah, obviously it's going to be him. They need some variety to the match.
Yeah.
And he did provide that. He had some pretty cool, some little spots here or there. I'm going to get right to my favorite spot of the match, which was the last we saw of Kevin Owens for the evening. About a 25, 30-foot ladder. It was huge. Yeah. And basically, it was Rusev and Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens, about 2/3 of the way through the match, who had Strowman beaten up. They were hitting him and they were knocking him out and trying to take him out.
Up to the point where they eventually had ladders stacked.
Yeah, they had ladders all over him. What I thought was really funny is you had Samoa Joe that told Kevin Owens, get up there. And Kevin Owens was like, all right. So he climbs this ladder like he's going to do like a senton bomb off the top of the ladder, a la Jeff Hardy, and knock through Braun Strowman and through the table. Well, Braun comes to, tosses Joe and Rusev off, starts climbing the ladder, and Kevin Owens is like, oh, crap. And so he starts going down. Well, Braun reaches across the outside of the ladder and grabs him and takes him back up to the top, and then just tosses him, throws him off the side of the ladder into this somewhat cushioned like table ensemble, and then Owens is just out. It was, to me, the biggest spot as far as that as we've seen in a very long time. Usually guys don't take those high falls, high bumps.
Shane McMahon was not in the match.
Yeah, there was no Shane jump. I mean, I think of like how many times Shane has been knocked off of very high things, through tables, through things like that. Good on Kevin Owens for taking that bump.
Yeah.
Because that had to have been scary.
Yeah.
It had to have been scary.
That was pretty high. That was really high. And it's somewhat dark in that area, so you got to make sure your aiming is right on target, or you could really seriously hurt yourself. But my favorite spot was the Finn Balor stomp off that very high ladder.
He was pretty far away.
Yeah, he was pretty far
Very
away.
far away.
He kind of teased it a little bit and then just went up there. And I forget who he stomped on.
It was... Oh, I think it was...
Was it Rude?
No, I thought it was Rusev.
It might... How does that not, like, break a rib?
I don't know. I honestly think less of how it doesn't hurt the person, how it doesn't hurt Balor. Because if you're stomping on somebody, I just see like a blown out knee. And he always sells it like it would hurt that way. But at some point, I'm like, you've got to be...
Careful.
Very careful.
I mean, but so this was, again, I think it was another 25-foot ladder.
And I was mistaken. I'm reading up this. This was a 50-foot ladder that Owens was thrown off of. I think that it was... The 50-foot was Owens. I think you're right. It was like a 25 or 30.
Yeah, 25-foot ladder was on the outside of the ring. So he's coming from the outside onto the inside, full-on stomp on a person's chest midsection area. Yeah. That was my favorite spot because that kind of had to be right on. I mean, you're off a couple of feet and you're stomping on a dude's nuts. I mean...
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly. Well, and that's I think it was well done. They had a ton of spots. I'm reading through some of the big ones that I had down. You had the Kingston jumping off of the ropes onto Strowman's back, and then Strowman just continuing to climb like he doesn't have anybody on him. You had the Rusev putting on the triple accolade for like a half second, but on Rude and Kingston and Miz, and that was pretty funny. My favorite moment, not necessarily spot, but moment, is after you have the ladders on Strowman, he starts crawling out and
Finn Balor goes up.
Balor starts to take a ladder away and he's holding on to it, and so then he hits Balor, and I don't remember who was holding it, but you had two guys, I think it was like it was KO and probably like Rude or somebody like that, and Strowman charges through the ladder
and breaks
it in half, and then they immediately pan up to Miz's face, and Miz looks like he just saw a ghost. His mouth is open. It's the funniest thing. I absolutely love the Miz because that is exactly how you should react.
Yeah.
If you are in a match where somebody's main objective is to hurt you so badly that then they can climb a ladder, without you getting up, and he's the guy running at you to hurt you, and he just does that to those two guys, breaks a ladder, and he's ready to come into the ring to you next. That is the face that you have.
His face was priceless.
Hilarious. So funny.
Who'd you have winning this match before the match?
Realistically, I thought it was going to be Strowman. I didn't think there was going to be anybody. But here's the thing, is Strowman is like the Big Show.
Yeah.
And the Big Show never won those matches. Mm-hmm. The Big Show is always in these matches. Big Show never won the Royal Rumble. Big Show, those are the type of people that you expect to win those, and that's why they never do. So the fact that Strowman actually won it surprised me. I thought it was going to be either Balor or Kevin Owens.
I was really pulling for The Miz. I was like, they're going to give him a shot.
Yeah,
he can work the mic.
He's had the Money in the Bank before.
Yeah, he's a multiple winner. I really thought it was going to be The Miz. And
I knew Joe wasn't getting it. I knew Rude wasn't getting it. I knew Rusev wasn't.
Because does Strowman need it?
Strowman doesn't need it.
No,
he doesn't need it at all. And that's another one of those. It was a safe pick because people are going to be happy with it and they can do something with it. Strowman didn't need it.
Because especially if that is your end game by the fall, is to have the belt on him because Lesnar's leaving, then it works out. It's a legitimate, like he won the Money in the Bank. He has a right to challenge. And that way you don't get too much shit for having Reigns.
Yeah. I realistically thought it would be Balor because Balor still has not gotten his rematch. And they've never said anything about it. Never once mentioned it. And I'm like, okay, how is that not the case? I know Lesnar has the belt. Lesnar versus Balor would be a good match. Not that I want to see it because I don't want to see Balor get squashed and that's what would happen. But Lesnar versus Balor would be a good match.
Not lose to somebody Finn Balor's size.
No. So that's why I'm like, I thought maybe he would have it and then he could say then he's going to get the belt back that he never lost.
Do you want to write a storyline for Finn Balor?
I don't know where he goes from here.
He sues the WWE for not giving his rematch, and so he refuses to wrestle, and it kind of makes this whole
that
conflict.
Turns him heel, though.
So
I don't think Balor's a heel.
Maybe he gets the Bullet Club together,
Balor,
supporting him.
You can't have Balor heel yet. He's doing all this LGBT equality stuff. You can't have a guy who's supporting that go heel. If WWE is not going to let Reigns turn heel because they want him to be the Make-A-Wish face. They're not going to turn Balor heel yet. Not when you have guys, against, there's just too many heels.
That's
right
what
now.
I do. I'd have him sue WWE for not giving his contractual rematch, and he doesn't wrestle and protest until he gets said rematch, whether it's Lesnar or probably afterwards.
I don't see a storyline for him right now, and that's what's upsetting. Is he'll
be in Extreme Rules in some fashion.
He'll be in that match for the number one contender. Because Finn Balor, and he'll be in that match. Rude will be in that match. Mahal, Bobby Lashley. You'll have probably 6 guys in it. You have Lashley. What do we have? We have Reigns and Lashley. I'll put in Balor, Miz, Mahal, and Kevin Owens. There's your 6.
Yeah, which leaves Bobby Roode to.
And Bobby Roode had a squash match against Kurt Hawkins.
Yeah.
You have literally fallen from grace if you're facing Kurt Hawkins. You're not going to lose, but you're facing someone who's never won a match on the main roster since they've debuted, and that's their shtick. They actually have more storyline than you because they continue to lose.
That's bad.
I don't see Rude doing anything. He's a mid-carder. He's a strong mid-carder. He's about 4 or 5 years too late coming over.
Yeah.
But he's a strong mid-carder. That's the thing, is we need mid-card guys. We need him. Maybe Rollins, since Rollins loses, he's in the match. I don't know. No, never mind. He's got his rematch for Ziggler. I don't know what I'm talking about. So it was a strong match. I love the ending. Strowman winning was a safe bet. I don't think he needed it. I don't think Bliss needed it. But both of those winners were ones that I think that you can step away from and say, crowd's going to be happy. The company's got direction. But some missed opportunities to give some new faces. Last year, look at Baron Corbin and Carmella. 2 very shocking winners.
Can we talk about Baron Corbin real quick?
The Constable. He's the next
He's
one
going
out.
nowhere.
He's going to be out of the company soon. I guarantee you that.
He's going nowhere.
Yeah.
I thought he looked ridiculous before with the really bad thinning hair at the top with the long biker hair. But now he looks even more ridiculous. And then when he showed up on Raw to wrestle a match in this Avengers vest and white dress shirt and khakis, he's going nowhere. He's lost all momentum he ever had as the lone wolf.
He's not that. But I think they've dropped that character altogether.
He's done.
My thing is, I think he's going to be out of the company because he's really cocky, and you saw that doesn't work, especially with up and coming guys. I think what's going to happen with him is they're going to push him because he's kind of Kurt Angle's right-hand man now, but not because Kurt Angle wants him to be. He's like an enforcer for Kurt Angle, but it's weird. I don't really get it. He's
a part of the authority.
Yeah, which is weird because there's not really any authority right now.
Yeah.
I definitely see him having some storyline over the next few months, but I just don't see him being there long term. The reason why he lost the Money in the Bank was because of his attitude backstage. So they had him cash in and lose it. A guy like that,
everything's team player.
Things don't change.
Yeah.
They can be okay for a little bit, but they always will fall back. So I think Corbin will be out. Speaking of those guys that are going to be out, we are getting to the spring cleaning section of WWE. We'll probably have about 20 contracts that will be dismissed here over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Give me top 3 guys that you think don't have a place anymore in the company.
Tyler, Mr. 10.
Dillinger.
Tyler Dillinger. Again, reiterating what you said earlier, I could really see Natalya just bowing out. And you bring up a good point with Baron Corbin. And what are they doing with the Revival?
Making them lose.
What are they doing?
Turning them into a joke.
And you can legitimately see some people asking for their release.
Here's my question right now: is who are the Raw Tag Team Champs? You had to think about it. That's proof enough. I for a second was thinking, are the Bar still the champs? Nope, but we haven't seen them.
Yeah.
They've been off TV.
Yeah.
You've got all of these guys that are MIA. They're gone. And I understand, every now and then you have to take some people off to make room, but you have the tag team champions are still champions. and they're not given any attention. We've got Hardy and Wyatt, excuse me. We got Matt Hardy and Wyatt, who are champions, and they're not doing anything. They didn't defend on a main title or on a main card. How do you have a championship match? Even putting them in the pre-show, they don't have anybody to face.
Yeah.
They are not even in a major rivalry.
The Raw tag, especially the Raw tag team right now is so stale and stagnant. Like, it's just
you've got the Revival, you've got the Bar, but outside of that, I mean, you've got little guys. You just don't have big name players right now that are legitimately having an opportunity with the company. And I don't know why they're doing it this way. It's getting frustrating because I love Hardy and Wyatt together. They really haven't done what they needed to do. They haven't really come on to their weird element that they can do. But man, it's rough.
Is the roster too big right now?
Yeah.
It's kind of like
you've got too many guys right now that don't have.
It's kind of like the problem they had right after Vince bought out WCW and they had the invasion. You just had an influx of people coming in, and they didn't know what to do with them. And I feel like you've built up NXT so well, not to any fault to Triple H, because it's a really good product. But now it's like eventually you can only keep people there so long.
Mm-hmm.
Which with the indie scene being so hot it is right now, and people finding success in New Japan Wrestling and Ring of Honor, that you can only keep them so long. So that's why I said the Revival. I could see them asking for their release, so where they could go into to Ring of Honor or go to New Japan and make a killing over there.
Well, I mean, you've got guys right now too, and here's the thing: is WWE's product is becoming so saturated that you're not really sure where to look. You have the UK tournament going on, or it's going to be wrapping up soon. You've got Pete Dunne, who I think is phenomenal. The guy's great, but he's not. There's not many eyes on him because he's technically wrestling NXT, but NXT in the UK are like, what is the UK title? Is it its own? We do have this announcement that they are going to be having this NXT UK version, so they are going to be growing and doing those things. But you've got so many different sections that they kind of bleed into one another. You've got all these, the Cruiserweight Classic and the women's the tournament, and then these people are not signed on. Some of them do, some of them don't. So it's, where do you look? The ones that do sign on, it doesn't mean that for every one signed on, one gets released. You've got guys like, technically, Zack Ryder, who's still on contract. He's one that I could see leaving because he hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
I could see Ryder being released. I could see a lot of the women, losing about 4 or 5 women.
Yeah.
Natalya, Natalya will not be released. She'll leave or she'll retire. I don't think she'll leave. But I could see somebody perhaps like Sonya Deville. It's kind of like a pilot episode. She doesn't have anything to do now.
Yeah.
And it's like, I could see her leaving, or, those kind of, Mandy Rose. I just don't know what to do with some of these people. I think we've got way too many people on the roster, and a handful who are just injured and who are gone for a little while, or some that are just gone because they're gone. I don't really know what the answer is for it, but it's becoming a little bit of an issue.
I'm going to make a big, bold firing prediction. Big Cass. Gone.
That is bold.
Gone.
That is very bold. Yeah, I'm looking right now, and you have... There's just too many. The champions alone, there's too many. You got a guy like Aiden English, who doesn't even wrestle anymore.
No. Just walks out with an umbrella.
And then you've got... we didn't even say 205 Live. You've got probably another 15 guys on there that are...
Which 205's not doing real hot. It's not real hot right now.
It's not.
It's...
Somebody who we haven't talked a lot about, who I think could definitely do some damage in SmackDown, is Andrade Cien Almas.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that he could. Apollo Crews might be getting released. I haven't seen much from him lately. He's still... right now you still got Bo Dallas and Axel, who are technically a tag team. And
did you
doing
see
well.
him mocking his brother?
Yeah. I want Bo Dallas to join Bray Wyatt so bad.
That was pretty good.
It's never going to happen, but it'd be pretty nice
when,
if it did.
When do they usually make the cuts?
It's usually around... we're in June, but they call it the spring cleaning. It's usually around before SummerSlam.
Yeah.
because it's SummerSlam, then they go and they do some of these different storylines. They
start working towards the Rumble and WrestleMania.
Yeah. After SummerSlam, you've kind of got their only pit stop is Survivor Series, and that's about it. It's kind of curious right now. Technically, Chris Jericho is still an active member of the WWE roster.
He's got special privileges, though.
He's Chris Jericho. He can do what he wants.
Which he is killing it right now.
Doing some really, really cool
Once
things.
again, totally reinventing himself.
Yeah.
I mean, he's...
Well, and for that sake, too, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's technically an active wrestler, but he hasn't even been seen for about 2 years, 3 years.
But you know he's going to come back. Jericho.
Oh, yeah.
He'll come back. I mean, he is...
Yeah,
I don't know where you place him, and this maybe can be another conversation for another time. But to me, I mean, he's the GOAT right now. I mean, he is one of the greatest. He could have a match with anybody. He is, and I know he's just now in his early 50s, but he's, to me, one of the best. And I just got done listening to an interesting podcast, 83 Weeks, with Eric Bischoff, and they talked about Chris Jericho's run in WCW and how they didn't know how to use him when he first came in. And it went back to going back what you said about an hour ago. It's like, let somebody be who they are, just amp it up times 10. And then when Jericho started being this really asshole-ish type person on Nitro, that's when it worked. And then Jericho came back on his podcast and had a rebuttal because he thought Eric Bischoff was full of shit. Yeah. And so Jericho knows. Jericho's in the Matrix. He knows how this works. Vince McMahon is in total support of his New Japan run. Don't know how long it'll last. I know he's got concert dates for his band Fozzy in the fall. So we'll see. But he's killing it right now. And I think that's what's appealing to a lot of wrestlers in WWE right now, is that if they can get their release or if they are let go and fired, that they have options now.
Yeah.
For the longest time, they didn't have an option. Impact. You went to Impact. That's it. Well, now, this independent scene with New Japan and Ring of Honor, and the wrestlers have a lot more freedom there.
They do. They don't work as much either. Granted, the paycheck's not as big, but it's not awful.
To somebody like Cody Rhodes, that's not the biggest thing.
No. Having a little bit of creative freedom is much, much higher.
He got paid. He doesn't have to dress up like a goddamn alien.
Yeah.
He's killing it right now. So that's why I said you could have some people like the Revival or even Carl Anderson and his tag team partner asking for their release.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know if they'd go back, though. They spent quite a bit of time over there, so it might be kind of cutting it close. But yeah, I mean, you got guys still on the roster that I haven't seen for a long, long time. Technically, Neville's still on the roster. You got the Cologne brothers, R-Truth. Who else did I see that I was like, I haven't seen that for a while? Oh, Mike Kanellis. Rough go for him. Granted, him and his wife, Maria, just had a kid, but at the same time, he was not being used when she wasn't pregnant. Just a joke. So you got a lot of guys right now that I think we're going to
I think this may be one of the biggest cuts we've seen in a long time.
What's that?
The spring cleaning. I think this may be some of the biggest.
Well, yeah. I mean, we had McIntyre and Kurt Hawkins that were let go a couple of years ago, and those were kind of big names at the time that got released out of nowhere. Big Cass is a big one, and I think that's just the first of a handful that we're going to see coming up, because there's just only so much space, and continuously by bringing up more and more NXT superstars and signing new people from different areas, you're going to have to make some space. So it's a revolving door at some point. It's just a matter of when are you on your way out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, our next pay-per-view is in a few weeks. We've got Extreme Rules in just about a little over 4 weeks on July 15th. So we'll be coming to you guys about a month away. Until then, I've got nothing left for you. I'd probably overall, let's see, if we're going to go out of 10, I'd give a 6.5 to Money in the Bank, mostly because of those 3 final matches in the women's. Ben, what do you give it?
Yeah, I'll go with a 7. The last few matches really brought it home for me. I was not happy with the way the pay-per-view started, but they fixed it.
It ended strong. I think we can agree to that. All right. Well, for the time being, for Top Rope Wrestling, I am Aaron.
And this has been, and please check out Top Rope Wrestling Podcasts on Facebook. We are posting news there, breaking news every day, especially with the spring cleaning coming up. You'll never know what's going to happen. So please check out our Facebook page, Top Rope Wrestling Podcasts, where you can also find links to listen to the podcast.
All right. Have a good night, guys. We'll see you.